Okay, guys, thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to be discussing my 2020 NFL quarterback prototype, discussing what the prototype for the quarterback in the modern NFL of the 2020s. Um, I've been watching football going back to the 90s, growing up, and the prototype for a quarterback when I was growing up was a big, strong, physical guy with a cannon arm who could stand in the pocket, he could take punishment, and he could still make plays with his arm down the field. You're looking at guys like Drew Bledsoe, Peyton Manning. Now, that's the prototype for the pre 2000 NFL. Then the prototype evolved. Why? Well, in the 80s and the 90s or in the past, even before that, there was a few guys that came along with crazy mobility and athletic ability that would allow them to do things with their legs. Guys like Randall Cunningham, but it was kind of frowned upon, and it was even looked at like a novelty when quarterbacks ran around using their legs. Now, the idea was that they just, they couldn't survive the season playing like that. And then comes Michael Vick. His freakish athletic skills, allowed him to do things a quarterback nobody had done before. He was the most athletically talented player on the field at any position, and he was the quarterback. He was just, a spectacular player as far as a playmaking goes. But he was even, but he even admitted that he relied mostly on his athletic talent, and he didn't study defenses. He didn't try and develop the other, cerebral type quarterback skills, especially those as a pocket passer. He relied on his athletic ability, and he wasn't the prototype. But what happened was, the defensive end position in particular, but defenses evolved because of Michael Vick, and the defensive end position went from a larger, bulkier player to a faster, leaner player. And the defensive end position started to have some freakish athletes of themselves. Um, so now, after that, the prototype of Peyton Manning, it had to change. You had to have some kind of mobility to ultimately be successful. There's a few outliers left over, from that era, Brady, Breeze, Rivers. But, now teams and coaches and GMs, they're looking for guys with mobility. And, along comes Aaron Rodgers and changes everything. So you're looking at Aaron Rodgers, crazy arm strength, crazy accuracy. He's got very good mobility. Doesn't use his legs to get yards. He uses them to buy time, to extend plays in order for him to get to a spot where he can ultimately use his arm. Now, a lot of times you see Aaron Rodgers running around and then stop and set his feet and fire. And if he can't set his feet, his arm talent still lets him, gives him the ability to make the play. So he's using his legs to let his arm do the damage. That was the new prototype. However, he's undersized. He's prone to the big hit and he gets injured. So you want a guy built like Peyton Manning or Drew Bledsoe, but can move around and make plays with accuracy and out of the pocket as well, like Rodgers. So the new prototype becomes Andrew Luck. Now, in the mold of Andrew Luck, you got guys like Carson Wentz, Josh Allen, and even Daniel Jones. Big, strong guys, 6'4", 6'5", 230 plus pounds, and they have mobility. Now, all of a sudden comes the Ferrari. We get Patrick Mahomes. And with that, everything changes again, but in a shorter amount of time. So now comes my 2020 prototype. And it's a 3-tier attribute system. I'm going to call them check boxes. And in 2020 NFL, teams want quarterbacks to check all 3 boxes or as many as they can, as well as they can. So here's box 1. A quarterback must be able to make plays under pressure from the pocket, must be able to slide around and stay in the pocket, read defenses, which has a cerebral element to it, and make plays down the field with his arm. 3rd and 12 in the fourth quarter, and you got to hit a guy on a deep post to the sideline, use a touch pass or accuracy and ball placement and drop that ball over a defender to where only a receiver can catch it. Think Eli Manning to Mario Manningham in the Super Bowl. That's what I'm talking about. You got to make that throw and take the hit at the end of it. Box number 2, mobility. A, you must have legs that enable you to scramble outside of the pocket to extend plays and pick up short yardage. If it's 3rd and 4 and the play breaks down, there's nothing, nobody's open, you got to be able to pick up that first down with your legs. And B, a quarterback should be able to get, to a spot on the field using his legs in order to use his arm. But in today's NFL, a lot of offenses are now wanting to design quarterback runs and the option. You want to be able to run the option and have design runs as a part of your offense. Now, you want to be able to have a quarterback that can execute those things if called upon. So if you want to run an option play and the quarterback has to keep it, Josh Allen can do that. You don't really want Tom Brady to do that. So that's an area or a skill set they want quarterbacks to have. However, you want the legs to be a facet of their game, but you don't want them to rely on it as part of their game. You just want that to be a part of their repertoire. So that's, you don't want to run the offense. You don't want a quarterback to do what Lamar Jackson does as their main facet of their game, because that's not a quarterback. But I'll get to Lamar Jackson after. But having the ability to have design runs and the quarterback option is a big part of it. So mobility and variations of mobility. Box 3. Now this is the unique area, this intangible, unteachable area, quote unquote arm talent. So you hear this term used all the time, and basically what they're saying is, it's guys that can make throws from odd places on the field and make plays from those places that you're not supposed to make plays from. Patrick Mahomes is the best example of this. But he's the outlier. He's got freakish skills, freakish talent. But teams are looking for guys that have that unique ability, and it's hard to quantify. Another example I like is Deshaun Watson. Like Mahomes, he checks all 3 boxes. So the Andrew Luck, the Carson Wentz, the Josh Allen prototype, it's evolved even slightly more, to the Deshaun Watson, the Tua Tagovailoa, the Kyler Murray types. That's the new prototype. A guy that can hurt you with his legs. He can run plays with his legs. He can extend plays with his legs. He can extend plays with his legs to make plays with his arm. And he can make plays with his arm from all places on the field. And he can make plays down the field from the pocket. What you are looking for is to have your quarterback check all 3 boxes, or, like I said, as many as you can, as best as you can. That's why people are high on Sam Darnold. The reason why the experts like him, he checks all 3 boxes. He makes plays from the pockets, reading defenses. He's smart. He can make all the throws from the pocket with accuracy and touch. He also extends plays with his legs and makes plays and throws from odd arm angles and weird spots on the field. You're looking at Lamar Jackson. He's an example of someone who does not check all 3 boxes. He is someone who uses his freakish athleticism to make up for his lack of quarterback skills. In other words, I think he's a great player, but I don't think he's a great quarterback. In my opinion, he hasn't shown enough of the ability to make reads from the pocket, break down the defense, and make accurate throws down the field. When he's running the ball and the offense as a whole is running the ball well and they're playing good defense, everything looks great. They take what they give you, a few dump-offs here and there. He'll hit a tight end over the middle for a short conversion. Fine. But down 14 in the fourth quarter, Lamar Jackson does not have that ability to bring his team back yet. Mahomes does. Watson does. Rodgers does. Those guys are different. And as talented and as unique and special as Lamar Jackson is, and as rightful as he was to get the MVP last year, I just don't really have him ranked as a top echelon quarterback. because of that reason. Which is not to say that he couldn't develop that part of his game, but if it doesn't develop and his athletic ability starts to decline, he won't have true quarterback skills to fall back on. That's why Drew Brees and Tom Brady are still playing at a high level. They never had true athletic talent, that some of these other guys had. They're not special athletically, but they had those other skills and didn't have and they really didn't even have mobility. So really, Tom Brady and Drew Brees are only surviving by checking off one of those boxes. But they do it at such a high level that it's still effective. But it handicaps you as an organization. You have guys like that. It requires you to have protection. It requires you to have talent around them. They're not really playmaking. They're getting the ball to playmakers. You look at Deshaun Watson, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes. They're playmaking and getting the ball to the playmakers. And that's a whole nother level. And that's what teams are looking for. If you like my video, you guys want to put any comments, I'll respond back. I'll appreciate it. Let me know what you think. But this is my 3-tier attribute system for the 2020 quarterback prototype.